Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is actually a clan boss takeover video here. We're in the count of Blobby. I always get my left and rights mixed up when I do these things. But we're in his account today, and he wanted us to look in and see if we can improve his clan boss team. He was doing between 3 and 4 keys on Ultra Nightmare. That's right around 20 million a key on average. And I said, I'm pretty sure we can improve that. Going from 4 key to 3 key usually isn't too much of an issue, depending on the champions, depending on the gear. It always comes down to the champions you have and the gear you have. What I was super impressed with this account was the gear was set. I mean, he had everybody geared correctly, right? Lots of defense, decent crit rate, the speeds were good. So there wasn't a whole lot of changes I really needed to do. What we needed to do was make sure everything was tuned up and in sync. Now, I did this on stream already, so I'm not going to show you what we had beforehand in gear and what I did afterwards to change it. Just know that he actually had things pretty well kitted out beforehand with like 3 to 4 to 5,000 defense on the champions to make sure they were nice and tough. So for me, it was really easy just to go in, find the tune that worked for this team, and tweak it. This is going to be using Valkyrie with 2 champions going at a 4-3 ratio. It's only Ultra Nightmare friendly. It doesn't work for Nightmare, but it's definitely adjustable for that. So we're going to bring in Sepulchre Sentinel. We're actually going to bring in Narma, one of those newer champions who's fantastic for clan boss, guys. I cannot stress enough how good Narma is. I actually can't wait to do a full video just on her and her kit so you guys can see how amazing this champion is. This is going to be a Valkyrie Affinity friendly clan boss team. It's going to run the same for Affinity as it will for Void. And that's a real rare thing, very hard to do. Like I said, it is only Void, only Ultra Nightmare friendly, but when you're putting 2 or 3 keys in Ultra Nightmare, that is where your focus needs to be anyway. And so this is going to be a great team for, I think, a lot of you out there. This is how I would build it if you're looking to bring in 2 champions at a 4-3 ratio. So we have Valkyrie. We're going to bring in Narma, who, like I said, is amazing. She brings poison and decreased attack. We're also going to bring in Rosin for the decreased defense and weaken. And then we're going to bring in Sepulchre Sentinel to block the debuffs to keep us affinity friendly. And then very last, we're going to bring in Skull Crusher. And that's going to help balance out this team, make sure that we have counterattack the full time, but more importantly, use this as ally protection to help everybody stay alive longer. So let's go ahead and look at the champions. Now, when we're talking about the breakdown for Valkyrie, we have her going at 191 speed. That is, for this build, that's the speed we're going to need to be at. It'll allow her to still go last on most of the turn orders. Obviously, the defense and the HP are great, and lots of room to improve, too. 33,000 HP is a little bit low for where I would like her to be, but you can see not even everything is fully maxed out here. Didn't really need to get there for this to be a perfect team. We still have some 5-star stuff. We can up to 6-star. So there's little ways and easy ways for us to improve this build. And then we're also going to have Rosin in here. Now, Rosin is going to actually be our fastest champion. Now, in order for this to work, we needed Rosin to be going at 188, 189 speed, right around there. By going at 188, he is the fastest champion in this composition, and that's going to ensure that everything works just perfectly. Also, because Rosin's going first, he's going right after the clan boss goes. The clan boss's turn meter doesn't advance that much, and this is a secret trick about Rosin. When the clan boss has under, I think, 30% turn meter, Rosin won't use his A3 ability, and that's what we want. We want Rosin to use his A1 skill. It's a triple attack, does a lot of damage. That's what's happening here. It's fantastic. So getting Rosin at the right speed is crucial, and making sure he's the fastest of this middling group. And by middling group, I mean those not going at a 4-3 and not Valkyrie. The other person at that speed is going to be Skull Crusher. Now, Skull Crusher, we have slower, 180 speed. I think it's got to be 179 or faster. As always, I will have these speeds on the website, so you can just check it out there. But we have him really well kitted out now. 5,000 defense, 38,000 HP is going to keep him really tanky. You can see we do have the crit rate on most of these champions really high, which is what we want. Rosin here, you can see actually we don't have 100% crit rate, and our crit damage is a little bit on the lower side for what I'd like. So definitely room for improvement with that. But still, 4,000 defense keeps him nice and tanky. Now, Sepulchre Sentinel here, we got 239 speed. That's the minimum. I think it's got to be 239 to like 244, 245, something like that. Good defense there. Solid HP. That is right around where we want it. Maybe we could do a couple hundred more, or a couple thousand more, but it's pretty good. And again, good crit rate. okay crit damage, that should be fine. And then the very last champion we're bringing in is Narma. Narma's actually going to be the fastest one, going at 250 speed. And that is pretty much the minimum speed we could get her at. Good defense on her, good HP on her. She's not taking the stun, but with that kind of a build, she certainly could. But she's there for us to put on poisons and put on decreased attack. So she has this great ability here, places a decreased attack debuff for 3 turns, which is great. And heals everybody. It's a kind of a very, very cool ability. Also, this toxic trance places 3 poison points of sensitivity, and then on an A1, and chance to increase the duration of 3 random buffs on the target. So she doesn't have a full debuff extension like Septimus or even Bulwark or Vizier, but we don't always need that. We're still putting these buffs up every cycle. That doesn't change. Rosin's going to put up his decreased defense and weaken every cycle. Narma's going to put up her poisons every cycle. So we don't need to extend all the debuffs all the time. But because of that skill, because we have counterattack and gives it more of an opportunity to proc, we are going to keep a pretty full debuff bar throughout the majority of this fight. And that's what we're looking for here. Real quick, let me show the masteries here. You guys can see it's just going down support and offense. I probably would prefer the defensive tree, honestly, but it doesn't make a big bit of difference. This will just extend the debuffs, gives us more accuracy. Should be just fine for Narma there. You can see Valkyrie went down the defensive tree, Sepulcher down the defensive tree, Rosin down the defensive tree, Skull Crusher down the defensive tree. You're seeing a pattern here. The difference between a 3-key and a 2-key team that's tanky like this is that crit rate and crit damage. Thankfully, we had the gear in this account to be able to build that in. Without it, we would have been completely lost. We probably would not get nearly the damage I think we're about to be able to. But I want to be able to show you guys exactly what you can do with a tanky team. Getting your HP over to that 4,000 mark for everybody, getting your defense and getting your HP over that 33, 34,000 mark for everybody. It's so crucial, guys. Having Valkyrie in there or having a double ally protection, it's going to give you equivalent results as we are getting here. Pay attention to the damage Rosin does. Pay attention to the damage Sepulcher Sentinel does. It's nothing to scoff at. Even Skull Crusher, he does a fair amount of damage. If I could, I'd like to build more crit rate into Narma as well and let her go ham. But we definitely achieved our goal of a 3-key with this team, and I think you guys are going to be impressed with the results. Okay, guys, so starting off in here, we're going to want to use all these skills. We don't need to particularly use one skill sooner or later than another one, but trying to find the right time for these things would not be bad. So it doesn't really matter. I think our best bet is to go ahead and get the decreased attack out. Might as well. Right now we're going to A1 with Sepulcher Sentinel. This thing falls into tune right away, and one of the best parts is we can use Valkyrie's counterattack right from the get-go as well. We don't really have to wait on any of the skills. The only one I'm going to want to wait on is Rosin there, because we want to make sure that he uses the decreased defense and weaken before the counterattacks go up, just to maximize that damage. So we are going to A1 with him through this first cycle here. But we can go ahead and get Skull Crusher is going to use the counterattack for the double counter right there. We can get some poisons out from Narma, and then we're going to use the block debuffs there from Sepulcher Sentinel, and that's going to pretty much run us through. At this point, the stun, I think, might fall on the Valkyrie here. She does lose the increased defense, so one thing we could do is wait to use her counterattack ability, but honestly, we're just going to have to manual through this first cycle regardless, so it doesn't seem like a whole lot of point into that. But it does take a little bit of manual simply because of that one part there. But we are affinity friendly from the jump pretty much. And there we go. You can see the decreased defense falls off, and so she does take the stun from the clan boss. Now affinity obviously will have a factor in that, so that's something to pay attention to. And there goes the decreased defense and weaken. We have all the debuffs up now, which is great. And just gonna A1 through it. Valkyrie would put up the counterattack right there, and Narma is taking the second turn after the stun. That is how that works, and then Sepulcher Sentinel will take the double turn before between the AoEs there. And everybody else, we're just going to kind of use our skills as they come to us. Now we put up the counterattack from Skull Crusher there. She can go ahead and add more poisons, doesn't hurt. And we're just have to manual Valkyrie so she doesn't use her counterattack too early. And there we go, block the debuffs. It is as simple as that. There's not a whole lot to setting this up. It's pretty easy. Now, the reason why this works as it does is obviously we have Narma and Sepulchre at a very fast speed, so they can go on a 4-3 ratio. The question mark becomes, how does it work with Valkyrie's passive? How come she doesn't outrun the other champions? Well, because we have Skull Crusher going so fast, because we have Rosin going so fast, her 10% turn meter boost isn't enough to outpace them. And so they're able to keep the turn order that we have. It also helps that Valkyrie goes first and thus starts every cycle with a turn meter at 0 after that clan boss goes. Or starts at the lowest, I should say. So by doing that, by getting everybody so fast, we're able to ensure that we are, in fact, in the proper tune. And there we go. You can see we are fully in tune right now. And I can go ahead and click auto. And this team's going to run on its own without any interference. It's incredibly tough, incredibly tanky. Most double counterattack teams are. And so having Skull Crusher and Valkyrie together is a pretty wonderful combination to begin with. Narma has proved incredibly good with the decreased attack. It's a 3-turn cooldown, which is great. Those poisons she puts up are for 3 turns as well, and so they tend to last quite a long time, even if she doesn't extend them. You can see they dropped off right now, but they're going to come up right here, and already our debuff bar is fuller than it would normally be, and that's great. So she doesn't have to extend everything. She does a good enough job keeping our debuff bar full enough to make it a very, very strong kit. And with counterattack, she's going to get at least 4 attempts to extend those debuffs every cycle, which is really strong. So this is a pretty good team. I'm very happy with it. I would like to see Narma with more crit rate so she can do more raw damage, but if you pay attention, look at the damage these champions do, especially when we put decrease or increased defense up. It's very, very impressive, I would say. 34.8 million, 34.38 million. I'd say that's pretty successful. I mean, that's nearly a 2-key. I mean, it's really like on this edge. I did a run earlier on stream, and we did hit 2-key damage. So this is a 2-key team very easily. There's only a little bit of improvement that needs to be made, but I think you can see that by, timing it right, we do have Valkyrie at the right spot and get everybody else in order. One of the advantages of having Rosin go so quickly, he uses A1 the whole time. We're able to up our damage that way. If we can balance out the HP and the defense levels a little bit more, I think we'll last a little bit longer. But this is, I'm super stoked about this. We're talking coming in with a 4-key team. Now we're at a 2-key. That's pretty impressive. Obviously, Affinity will have an effect. RNG will have an effect. But otherwise, this is exactly what we're kind of looking for here. So guys, as you can see, this is a very successful run. Being able to do 2-key, we were doing 4-key Ultra Nightmare before. Now we're at a 2-key. The biggest difference has been the tuning itself. Like I said, he had geared everything pretty well beforehand, but we just didn't have that synergy with the speed and stuff. And that's the essence of this. Now, using a champion like Valkyrie is so tough because of her passive ability, but if you can tune it right, it makes everything go so much smoother and can really give you incredible results. That's why I was so happy to do this for you guys, to put this kind of a tune together using her passive so you guys are be able to do this. Now, obviously, there is a way to do this with her passive without any 4-3 champions, with one 4-3 champion, and now with 2 4-3 champions. So it's kind of a cool little series that we're doing on Valkyrie and her passive ability. But I find it very, very helpful. And this was a very cool account takeover. Also, I was super impressed with Narma. She's an excellent clan boss champion. I can't wait to do a highlight video just on her because she is really, really good and makes this team very doable as a result. So I was just really pleased with all of that. This was great, guys. Again, if you want something like this account coaching or takeover, go ahead and visit my Patreon. There's a link below. But otherwise, guys, this really has been a pleasure. Can't wait to see you next time. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.